all make a commitment, and myself included, to stay away from the pieces on trainings that stink. Staying away. Yeah, everyone down with that? Excellent. And make a commitment to have a training that rocks. Yep. Excellent. All right. I'm definitely committed to that because it makes my day go a lot better. And I'm hearing a lot of you guys have, this is just part of your day. You all have stuff tonight, and as I do too. I'm teaching college tonight, so. Yep. All right. So here's my story. When I had just gotten my master's degree in social work, I lived in North Carolina, and I did case management. There were some kids in foster care, some in residential. It was kind of a weird population. And I was working with this family, doing like some in-home family work, sort of like IH. PS, yes, that's a new thing. It was SCO when I was doing it. The father that I worked with, I had a pretty good rapport with him, but he was kind of a scary guy. He used to be a Navy SEAL. No, wait, it was something else. Some other, what's another like undercover military op guy? Green Beret, thank you. He was a Green Beret. He was bipolar. He had a history of domestic violence with his wife. You know, he was tough. But we had a rapport. I'm like, I'm getting kind of cocky. Like, this is one of my first cases. I'm getting along good with this guy. Well, we heard that through the grapevine that he had decided that he was concerned about his 14-year-old son being gay. So he decided he was going to show him porn videos, and the idea of like trying to get him turned on to girls and all that. And of course that's not good, and I was going to have to call that in to the Department of Social Services in North Carolina, right? So I said, all right, now this guy's pretty intimidating. How do I want to do this, you know? Like, how do I want to do this that's safe? I feel like I need to tell him, because he's going to know who, I mean, in my thinking, I knew that he was going to know that it was me who called him in, so I figured I might as well just own this and have a conversation about it. So I decided, well, I'm going to tell him in a public place. I'm going to tell him at Denny's. You know, we'll meet for breakfast, and I'll go ahead and tell him that I called this thing in. And it did not go well. You know, even though there were people around, he went ballistic, and he didn't touch me, but he was a lot bigger than me and stronger. He just stood over me and he said, "Don't move, or I'll bleep and kill you." And he was for real. I was terrified, actually. So then he, you know, this is before cell phones. He went to the payphone, calls my person who was covering as my supervisor at the time, psychologist, and basically says, I have your staff person here, and she's not going anywhere until you call DSS and undo this call, basically. Yeah, it was terrifying. So I felt like I was kind of held hostage in this Denny's. Now, there were people around. I don't think they knew what was going on, because this was just my personal experience of being totally frightened by this guy. And eventually, and you know that if you could picture this, you'd be like, if you saw the movie, you'd be like, why isn't she running? Why isn't she running away? Just get up and go. There's other people here. But I didn't. I felt so scared. And I stood there. And, you know, it was, eventually I did. I left. And I felt like, well, I mean, it wasn't chasing me. It wasn't like that. It was just, you know, I left and I was so shaken up. And, you know, I tell you the story to say, like, I was pretty cocky up until that point, you know, and so the second part to this, so I was okay. We still called it in. It was investigated. I don't think it was founded, though, so he still, you know, he received services. So my supervisor, who wasn't there at the time, comes back from maternity leave, and we're meeting. She says, and I hadn't seen this family in like 3 weeks, because his wife had said, you know, don't come around here. I'm afraid he's really going to hurt you. You know, I said, don't worry. You know, you don't have to tell me. I don't need to know the place, right? But you know how it is. It's the same here in Philly. You got it. Someone's got to see the families, you know, so you get credit for it. So I was talking to my supervisor, and she goes, "You haven't seen them?" Oh, I said, "Yeah. You don't think I'm going to be back on this case, do you?" She goes, "Yeah." She says, "I used to work with them. It's fine." She totally didn't support me. And she's nice, like I like her, because she couldn't even imagine what that was like, you know, my personal unsafe experience. So that was definitely like enlightening for me, you know, and I have brought that forward. I happen to be pretty good at, and I'm not saying this to be arrogant, but at de-escalating people that are out of control. And I'm often, when I worked at PCV and other places, I was definitely called in sometimes when people were acting a little nuts, you know, to see if I can calm them down. But I do always keep mind of that experience, especially when I became a supervisor and a director, and I was supporting workers who felt scared at times, or had situations, and I'm not just talking about women, like men too, where they had to go toe-to-toe with somebody or something happened, and it's always, you know, the lesson for me was really about, it's really about where the other person's at in their experience, not your own, right? Because I'm going to be different in terms of my reaction to a situation than you're going to be, and you're going to be different, and you know, and it's okay. So anyway, that's going to be annoying all day of that. I'm sure you guys are used to it. So what are we going to do today? I want to. This is a, you know, well, I took it down, but so the it's called safety in the field, but when I say in the field, it's who all works in the field as part of your work. Like have to do home visits or, you know, in your school-based setting. So lots of you, but some of you don't, right? Some of you are residential, or you work here. And what administrative pieces? So, do you have clients that come to this building?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Exactly. We prepare for birth, family visits. Yeah. So there's really a lot of different ways that this whole safety topic comes up. So we're going to get into it, but we will do the field piece too, because I think there's some unique situations of being on other people's turf, right? So, you know, again, I'm just going to sometimes reference this PowerPoint slide thing. What so often happens, and definitely with PCV this happened too, I have to admit it, is that we don't really start dealing with this topic until something happens. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, oh, now we need a policy, mm-hmm. Now we need a plan. You know, and you don't want to wait till someone gets hurt to all of a sudden kick up around this important topic. So I'm just curious, because I didn't really have any contact with anyone from Carson about coming here. It was all through the council. Did anything happen here that recently that got you guys kind of fired up to have this sort of training? Were there any incidents?